I've been asked to do a series on addictions. And I can talk about addictions because I've been caught up in a few myself. And this is in my Christian walk, which is quite a dangerous place to be. But one thing I can say is that I never really appreciated that whole scenario until I went through a few myself. Now, I did a tape there on prostitution, and I'd like to talk a little bit about that whole area of pornography, alcohol, drugs, gambling. Seems to be one of those things that mankind has had for generations. Addictions have always been around. Alcoholism has always been around. Drug addiction one way or the other. Prostitution. It's been there from the beginning of time. In the Bible, I think it was Levi, might have been Levi, who went off and was on a business trip of some sort, and he spied this, what he thought was a prostitute on the side of the road. It actually turned out to be his daughter-in-law, who was parading herself as a prostitute because he hadn't come up with the goods. When his sons died, left her destitute without children, he promised her the next one in line. Of course, he defaulted on that, so she took the job into her own hands, paraded as a prostitute, hooked him, took his staff and his ring as payment because he didn't have the dough on him, and when he sent his servants to go and pay the lamb or whatever it was that he was, she extracted from him, they couldn't find the prostitute. But then, when she was pregnant, they tried to stone her, and she pulled out the staff and the ring and said, "Here you go. The guy who this belongs to is the father of the child." So prostitution's been around for generations. A lot of the gods back in the a lot of the nations that Israel was called to go in and destroy, who were living in the promised land, they actually had goddesses and temple prostitutes. People used to go and sleep with them as part of their worship. Prostitution is rampant today. The typical scenario, the businessman is out there, for example, with his collar and tie, he's been working his butt off all day, out on business in a different country or a big city somewhere. He's trying to relax at the pub. He ends up passing a strip joint. Goes into the strip joint and suddenly discovers a whole area of life that he didn't realise existed. Of course, he's not interested in anything, and when he's accosted and solicited by a prostitute, and that's what they do. What do they do in strip joints? Sex. It's a sex industry. So he gets accosted and taken upstairs, and he thinks, "I'll go along with this." And then she suddenly gives him the prices. Prices for a kiss and a cuddle, play with his doodle, sex, escort. "I'll go off with you tonight if you like, or tomorrow night." And of course, the happily married businessman thinks, "I can't do this the first time and the second time, maybe the third time and the fourth," but he keeps turning up at a strip joint when he sees one, having a look, tempting himself. It's all about temptation.